Welcome back, explorers. Today we're picking up on the southwest coast path at one of Britain's true landmarks, the Marconi Station near Poldhu Cove. It was here in December 1901 that Guglielmo Marconi made history, sending the first ever transatlantic radio signal from these Cornish cliffs all the way across the Atlantic to Newfoundland. That faint Morse code, S, dit dit dit, crossed an ocean, forever connecting continents and changing communication forever. So that is a memorial, and each one of the plaques has a different message and tells the story of him. So we'll put that here. Go and head back across here now. Please close the gate. It said 4 miles an hour wind. I think they got it a bit mixed up. They forgot to add the O on the end. The original 20-mast circular cone-shaped aerial was destroyed in a storm on the 17th of September 1901. The original mast layout was not rebuilt, but was replaced with 4 lattice wooden mast design, 215 feet high by early 1902. The Prince of Wales and Princess Mary, later King George and Queen Mary, visited the site in 1903. In 1912, Marconi was given a free ticket to travel on the wonderful new ocean liner RMS Titanic. Those saved had radio to thank, as the Marconi Station at Chatham, Massachusetts, was able to alert RMS Carpathia to pick up survivors. As the Marconi Centre reminds us, although too many lives were lost when the Titanic sank on the 15th of April 1912, those saved had radio to thank, as the Marconi Station at Chatham, Massachusetts, was able to alert RMS Carpathia to pick up survivors. Back to Marconi at Poldhu. Great gales would batter the aerials. I can understand that today. Sea mist would short the equipment, and the locals must have wondered what on earth Marconi and his team were up to. Imagine seeing these towering aerials and wires in the middle of a storm. This is the site of the old station. The original station was dismantled and demolished after it was closed, but its foundations, this granite monument and earth structures, remain. So I'm standing where Marconi stood, no doubt, on a bit of tiled floor. That's where he made his coffee in the kitchen. Well, I can imagine. Just go through the toilet block. Who knows? I don't know. It's not here anymore. Let's head back over here. Here's the modern mast. And the impressive building over there is the Poldhu Hotel. Another one of those railway hotels I was talking about in the last video. I think they were all built around 1895. It's now a care home for old folks, and very nice too. Anyway, here we are at the Marconi Centre. It's a visitor centre and a museum for Poldhu Amateur Radio Club, built in 2001 to celebrate the centenary of Marconi's first transatlantic signal sent from this site. Manned by volunteers, check for opening times before you travel. The Marconi Centre is an absolute treasure trove for wireless fans and history buffs. We get through here. Somebody's broken the gate. Step inside for tales of the race to conquer the Atlantic, relics of early radio gear, and the remarkable story of a small Cornish cove that made global waves. There's even a story that on stormy nights you can still hear Marconi's ghost tapping out the dips and dars in the wind. Just don't blame him the next time your mobile signal drops. Onward. Past radio history, you'll find the golden sands of Poldhu Cove. It's a favourite for families, surfers and picnic fans. I've only got to walk over to the top of that other promontory and then around about 2 miles and I'll be back to my car. Easy. I need the exercise. Bit of an odd day. It's been cloudy and it said it was going to be low wind and then it started blowing a gale. This is me being windswept and interesting, as Billy Connolly calls it. Almost lost the drone at one point. It just took off on its own and flew about 100 yards across the field. So that wasn't good. Thankfully got it back okay. Down this steep road and back up the one on the other side. It's not too bad actually. It's easier going down than it was coming up, as usual. Legend says that when Marconi's team of engineers picked up the famous signal, the whole crew ran into the sea, clothes and all, to celebrate. Whether that's fact or just a classic Cornish tall tale, it's easy to imagine. This beach just buzzes with energy, even if you're only there for a coffee and some metal detecting. Let's head on down. I'll switch to the action camera because it doesn't mind the rain. And I'm hiding out a little bit at the cafe. You see all that wind sweeping the rain over? I'm going to press on because time is of the essence. That's the problem when you get to this end of the year. The days draw in so quickly. Okay, back we go up the hill. Beach. Dodging the showers, or just walking through them anyway. Gunwalloe Church Cove and St Gunwallow's Church. Let's go down. I'll just stay with the action camera. Perhaps I should be riding a BMX bike down here instead of walking. The most action my action camera gets is when I take it out of the bag and switch it on. A bit more sheltered from the wind here. Till we get round the next headland, no doubt. There's a posh sign from the National Trust. Church and Dollar Coves. Gunwalloe. There's a little stream heading down to the beach. And so am I. Let's cut across. Well, the sea looks nice with the sun shining on it, even though it's low sun now. Ooh. Yes, walking through seaweed here. It's not nice. We get across this stream. Will he make it? Let's try over here. And then over here. And then that way. And that way. There, we've made it. We can just see the bell tower of the church peeking through the trees. Oh, here we are. The Church of the Storms. This is probably one of Cornwall's most iconic and unusual churches. Right on the sand, battered by stormy seas, is St Winwallowes, known as Church of the Storms. There's St Winwallowe himself. He's lost an arm at some point, but we won't judge him for that. He must have got it caught in a storm. So what's unusual about this church? It's probably its most striking feature is this detached medieval bell tower tucked away into the dunes and away from the main building. Legend says repeated attempts to build the tower closer failed thanks to the storms or perhaps stronger mysterious forces. Every effort was wiped out until they settled on its current sturdy spot. Was it a practical tower? Maybe. But locals also say the tower's lone bell was a perfect warning for smugglers and fishermen, or even as a signal to hidden ships offshore that the coast was clear. Some believe that on wild Cornish nights, the bell can ring on its own, tolling for those lost at sea, or carrying the voices of shipwrecked sailors across the waves. The churchyard is filled with stories too. In World War II, 2 boys, one a wartime evacuee, the other local, died when they wandered onto a minefield left on the beach. A poignant reminder of the coast's dangers. Yes. Let's stop the bird scanning. Oh, here we are. You stay out there, birds. The church itself is thought to stand where Saint Gunwalloe, who sailed from Brittany, built his cell. A cell was a small, simple dwelling or a primitive hut. It was the living and devotional space for a saint, monk, or early Christian missionary, where they lived a life of prayer and contemplation in solitude. It's also only one of 3 Cornish churches with a separate bell tower, adding to its uniqueness. The interior is pleasant enough. It's got a row of columns that appear to be leaning to the north. Let's just go and have a look at one of these. Yes, I suppose they are. No doubt buffeted by winter gales. It's a simple church with rough whitewashed walls, light and airy on a bright day. Built in the 14th and 15th centuries, with further work by the Victorians. Much of the south aisle's wagon roof, with its carved ribs, still remains. Oddly, there are 2 fonts, one a simple one from the 12th century, and a larger one that was used from the 19th century. This is the original 12th century font. And here's its big brother or sister. You wouldn't believe it was so windy outside because it's so still in here. 2 pieces of the original 15th century rood screen survive. They've been turned into interior doors for the north and south doors. 8 apostles adorn their lower halves. I think the one at the end has gone on holiday, or somebody's pinched it. There's nothing sacred, even in a church. Let's have a look at the other side. Yeah. Saints alive. Well, they're not, but never mind. There are 2 curiosities. The rood stair exists in the south aisle, but there's no matching opening in the arcade, which is too low anyway. This is perhaps a remnant of the rebuilding of the 14th and 15th century church. The other is a strange thickening of the north and south walls of the chancel, which again may reflect a previous structure. I guess this is 12th and 14th century too. Probably not the electric light. It seems strange when you've got a church right on the beach, doesn't it? Gunwalloe and its surrounding coves were prime territory for smugglers. The nearby Housefront Inn which used to be called the Ship Inn, was built in 1468 using shipwreck timber and hides tunnels and secret passages used by locals to spirit away contraband brandy, cotton, cheese, tea and gin from the beach. The name Halsafron is believed to derive from an old Cornish Alsiferin, meaning something like Hell's Cliff. This name is apt. The cliffs are notoriously dangerous nearby, with many shipwrecks along this stretch of coast. Back into the wind again and rain. Henry Cuttance, the landlord of the Ship Inn, was a renowned smuggler and shipwreck hero, dragging survivors from the sea and buying them around, earning him community fame. He was also well known by the local coast guards, one of whom wrote of Henry around 1850, "Henry Cuttance, absent on a smuggling trip, is 5'7" in height, with a florid complexion and black whiskers. He has only one eye." The church's odd placement was ideal for smuggling. A legend claims a tunnel once ran from the bell tower to a cave beneath the beach. Perfect for midnight deliveries when the bell signalled the all clear. Let's go up those weird steps. Why not? This is known as Dollar Cove, named after the Spanish galleon San Salvador, which was wrecked here in 1669. Reportedly laden with 2 tons of silver dollars. Over the centuries, storms have churned up the sand and loosened coins. Treasure hunters still search after gales, and in living memory, rare Spanish coins have been found in the pebbles. The Royal Mint even records $1 making its way, decades later, into a Cornish purse. Of course, nowadays you're more likely to come away with seaweed than Spanish silver, but there's always a hope. If it's not enough, Dollar Cove and Gunwalloe stretch is littered with wreck stories. Ships smashed onto rocks, silver coins lost and found, and tales of smugglers' lanterns luring ships to disaster. Over hundreds of years, there have been around 6,000 shipwrecks around the coasts of Cornwall, and at least a couple of hundred around the tip of the Lizard. Many more were also lost along this western side. People who lived locally often assumed salvage rights from ships that had run aground, and these people became known as wreckers. As stories are told, it's likely that people had heard the term wreckers and assumed that they had had something to do with the actual wrecking of ships. In 1936, Daphne du Maurier wrote about a character called Jos Merlin, a cruel and violent criminal who would apparently lure ships onto the rocks with a fake light to steal their goods. Legend told of such wicked people around the coast of Cornwall, who, as the stories were told, would tie a lantern to a horse's tail and lead it up and down a coast path, supposedly mimicking the swaying of a boat at sea. The idea was that the ship would see the apparent ship's light and believe they were obviously nowhere near land, and then accidentally smash into the rocks. And then there'd be fair game for the wreckers. In reality, the reverse would most likely be true. Ships would not be able to see a one-candle lantern from the sea, at least until he was already perilously close to land, and by which time it would be too late anyway. So if someone was hoping for a ship to run aground, they'd be better off doing it by not displaying any lights. There's a helicopter from Poldhu in the distance. They don't really like you flying drones around here, because obviously helicopters are more important than our silly drones taking bits of film for YouTube. Looking back at the dramatic sweep of coast, the wild Atlantic, and the centuries of stories, saints coming ashore, inventors changing history, smugglers outwitting excisemen, and treasure still waiting to be unearthed. Whether or not you find silver, this walk is pure Cornish gold. How corny is that? If you enjoyed this stroll through myth, history and stunning scenery, rain and wind and everything else the weather could throw at us, hit like, subscribe and share. Any Cornish legends, ghostly bell tales that you know, let us know in the comments. See you next time, along the coast or not, or somewhere in Cornwall anyway. Bye for now.